Yes, we'll be back from the break. You're still watching Smart Main's Business. I'm Andrew Barija. It's exactly 4 minutes past 9. And of course, still getting into our business. Like I told you, we shall be having an official from Umrah as we break down these matters much more further. But of course, before we proceed from that perspective, I would still love to remind you that the markets on the Zabo platform are on. You can kindly participate by simply dialing *292#. Which is the USSD code that will avail you with options where you'll be in position to actually buy government bonds and securities for a fee of 15,000 Ghana shillings. Now, the markets will be opened actually already. They open at 8:15 a.m. They'll be running all the way to 3:15 p.m. That is East African time. And this is effective Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends and the public holidays. All those markets cannot be accessed. But of course, that's not the big deal. You have the rest of the days to capitalize and make money. That's something which I believe it's quite key and important when it comes to your financial growth and development. And that's why Zabo clearly and confidently comes out and says, my money, my future. And Altix East Africa tells you, you got to do something new for yourself. And remember, it is 2023. Well, now, as we proceed with our discussion point today, of course, an initiative from NIRA when it comes to the money lenders, all the different financial institutions, most especially at the micro level, to use national IDs as a means of collateral, something which was passed, and it's not going to be allowed any longer to be done. But of course, once such a law being put in place, it means quite lots of things to the different stakeholders, because you find that a number of Ugandans, well, that's the best they could actually have as collateral. They don't have cars, they don't have plots of land. I mean, a daily struggling, a day-to-day struggling person that earns a salary of even actually less than 300,000 a month. So where does this leave us? Now, I'm joined with Beron Mugambe. He's a compliance officer at the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority, as we are going to be breaking down this matter much more further. Good morning, Beron. How are you?
Yes, good morning, moderator.
Yeah.
Good morning, the general public. I'm glad to be here.
Very interesting. Yeah. Before we even get into any in-depth discussions about this, I want to understand what is the role of UMRA in terms of making sure that what has been put out by NIRA is actually put into effect. What is your role into this?
Okay, thank you so much. To answer that particular question, I realized that UMRA, Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority, it's an government authority authorized with a mandate to supervise, regulate, and also license the Tier 4 institutions.
Exactly.
Now, with the Tier 4 institutions, that's where we have different categories. We have money lenders, microfinance institutions, yeah. SACCOs, self-help groups, and the community-based microfinance. Now, with those particular categories under the Tier 4, they all have regulations.
Very true.
With the self-help guidelines, at the moment there are guidelines that safeguard as far as the self-help groups are concerned. Yeah. Now you realize that with the money lenders, in line with the question that you have raised, the issue concerning the national IDs, realize that regulations as far as money lenders are concerned, there is Section 18, which prohibits taking national IDs as collateral. In fact, that particular section identifies items that shouldn't be taken as collateral, which are national IDs themselves, ATM cards,
okay, passports,
any
identification document
that identifies the particular person. Then transfer documentations, sales transfer documentations. So all those are prohibited. So in line with already, as an authority, we are already embarked on that particular campaign. Although a number of sensitization have been enrolling countrywide, as far as sensitizing the public is concerned, and also bringing awareness to these institutions that please stop this practice. At least it's the onus of the institution to carry out its due diligence, which particular collateral should be used by the institution, and provide that particular loan to this client.
Okay.
Yeah.
But don't you think you hold responsibility of what the outcomes, most especially when it comes to, because majority of these people, this is what they have as collateral. And they are willing to actually give out this national. They are not, okay, there are incidences of confiscation, but now I'm talking about whereby I come and I say, I want this, don't you think as a regulatory body there is going to be some sort of something affecting the velocity of money, the transfer of money for investment, for further, you know?
You realize that the particular item you're talking about, it's a government property. Now, it being a government property, now realize that nowadays the national ID is an item that is almost requested for
everywhere,
in every office.
Yeah.
Now, that means if you leave it to a particular financial institution, there's a likelihood that I may miss out renewing my
ID or something, like missing out something.
A mobile line.
Mobile line, yeah.
Replacing a mobile line. That's one. Two, I've gone to a health facility like a hospital. I need to ask, they need that to copy that NIN number from you.
Yes, yes.
So, not knowing that I've left this particular card to this particular institution. So, that person is going to miss out on a particular service he or she is entitled because he or she doesn't have what? A national ID. Now, that's why we say the onus goes back to the institution to carry out its due diligence, to carry out, by the time I disperse this particular loan, what have I done to ensure that this collateral is enough for me to give out this loan. Yes.
So have you
because at the end of the day, within the consumer protection guidelines, yes, the issue goes back to the fairness and transparency. That the moment I confiscate or take away this particular ID, what have I, the end result, the end part of this particular client, what he or she going to, in case it is requested for. So that's why we say the institution should assess and use another collateral apart from the national ID. Now, by the time NIRA came on board, already as an authority, we're trying to, the awareness was ongoing.
So it had been already there before?
It had been already there before.
Okay.
Yeah, because even the regulations themselves is so stated.
Yeah.
So the people who end up persisting using the same ID, then they are against the what? They're against the law. Yeah.
Because now I'm trying to look at alternatives.
Alternatives are the collaterals that would have been taken by
for a law, because I'm looking at somebody who's earning a salary of about 200,000.
200,000.
Exactly.
So that's why we say that there are chattels that can be household chattels. That I have this particular TV set. This is the receipt that I can avail to the institution.
A receipt.
Okay. Because upon the institution carrying out its assessment of a particular collateral to be taken, then that particular person should either avail you with the receipt. Where did I purchase this particular TV set or refrigerator, which can be used as collateral in case I'm to be requested for particular collateral to provide to the institution. Otherwise, for the national ID, anything. It's well stated in the regulations that please prohibit yourself from using or taking this particular item. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, despite the fact that laws are being put in place, there's high chances of violations. Now, in this case, what measures have you put in place to check? Because I believe it will still continue underground.
Yeah, true. Now we realize that upon an institution logging in its application. From the point of application. So you realize that the next step is the premise inspection. Now, upon going for the premise inspection, now we sensitize or inform these people.
The people that are going to borrow the money.
No, the institution.
The institution. Okay.
That please prohibit yourself from these particular items. 2, enlighten yourself with the law and the regulations abiding the particular category you are falling in. Otherwise, operating outside the law or outside the regulations, then you're on the wrong side of the article. Then also in the different engagements, radio talk shows that we pass out this to the public that please, as far as I approach the particular institution for this particular loan facility, please let there be transparency. What requirements are needed for me to access this particular loan? That's one. Look at the requirements needed. If the national ID is among the items, please, there's something wrong with that particular institution. Then also, on the side of the institution, let me request these particular things from the client because it is against what? The regulations. Then, with those sensitization awareness campaigns, then that's when some people, at least, then the institutions themselves have also gone ahead, at least requested for photocopies, not taking the what?
The original.
Not taking the originals. because at least you rather get a photocopy of that particular national ID, they give him his original, with the national ID. Then in case of follow-ups to check this to be carried out, then you have some small information that you can use as far as following that this particular client is concerned. Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting. We are still discussing these matters down as we are breaking, understanding what NERA's initiative about stopping moneylenders from actually using national identification cards as collateral. Yeah, and now there is a sensitization campaign that is going on by UMRA, of course, to the different institutions, the money lending institutions. Now,
in fact, by the end of this week, I think there will be a public notice which was drafted. I think which will be moving circulated to all the dailies. As far as the general public is concerned, to bring to them as far as UMRA's position in reference to what NERA published, what are we heading to?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now maybe could you elaborate specific legal framework regulations that govern the microfinance institutions in Uganda, particularly in relation to client protection and use of identification documents? Now, as far as the framework is concerned, realize that with the law, they specifically guided on what the point of even licensing, on what an institution should provide. What are the licensing requirements before an institution gets a license? That's one. Two, the public. We have embarked on sensitizations and campaigns whereby on the different forums, we have emphasized that please approach institutions that are licensed by the authority. Don't deal with institutions that are not licensed. Because those instances where upon falling a victim, then you run to the authority. Then also institutions, upon a smart borrower taking the money and failing to repay back, and also that particular institution running the authority, yet you entered into transaction with the particular client without the license knowing. So that's why we say, okay, institutions, please go ahead and legalize your businesses. Now, with the regulations on board, guidelines as far as the self-help groups are concerned, we are trying to streamline, bring sanity in the sector. Now, bring sanity, that means, please, there are key fact documentations that should be entered in when a client, he or she borrows. Okay.
Now, because the issues of transparency as far as the consumer protection guidelines are concerned, issues of transparency, accountability, fairness. So, upon me approaching a particular institution, please at least avail me with an application form. Two, a loan agreement. That's why we say get institutions stay with the originals, get a photocopy. Then avail him with the loan repayment schedule. That okay, I'll be footing this particular loan. This is how I'll be required to foot or pay back this particular loans installments. Then the other thing also, what is the collateral? Because we're discouraging people to go into agreements whereby Ben has sold. It should be a loan agreement instead of a sales transfer agreement. You get it? Okay. So those are the things we're trying to bring on board. But remember, institutions should abide by the Act itself. Because remember, the Tier 4 Microfinance and Money Lenders Act 2016 is not the prevailing law in Uganda. There are other laws that should be also brought to play as far as implementation of these transactions are concerned. So institutions are advised that please follow. At the moment, this is what we have. There's nothing new that we have, unless when there are new amendments that are brought to this particular. So follow the law, the regulations play, and what the regulator advises. Yeah.
Maybe to ask Kazumra, do you pay attention to, because we are talking about now client protection, do you pay attention to the amount of money when it comes to what I lend you, what you're supposed to pay back, and in what specific period of time? Because there seems a lot of exploitation.
Yeah. Now, realize that on the side of the authority, yes, upon bringing such grievances, the institution and the borrower are brought on board. Upon bringing them on board, then we carry out some mediation. There's a complaints handling department.
Yes.
Whereby mediation between both parties are brought on board, and we go through what went wrong. So, in case I borrowed this particular money, amounts of money, what was the interest rate? 2, where has someone gone wrong?
Gone wrong, yeah.
In case, are there issues of over deductions? Are they raised because of over deductions? Or also, there are moments whereby also, me the borrower, I went comfortable instead of fulfilling my my obligation. So we address both parties. Where we go wrong, we put it clear to the institution that here, please, you went below or above what you were supposed to do. Then also you, as the borrower, please, you also failed to meet your obligation, and yet, because at the end of the day, money makes money. And this is someone's business. You also started it too, and a living and a profit from it. So, what was the interest attached? Did you fulfill, or did you go ahead and meet what this particular person did? And was it in time? Also, because the time factor is also what of instance. So, in that mediation, that's where we tend to correct out or iron out particular issues that are raised from the borrowers themselves and the client and the institutions.
Because why I brought that up, there is currently a rising trend of money lenders that are performing online.
Yes.
And there has been massive exploitation that you pay 65% in a very short time of what you pay in a space of, some actually go 8 days.
Thank you so much for that. For the issue concerning the money lending apps, realize that yes, soon there are guidelines that are going to be issued as far as the mobile apps are concerned. And 2, it's within the same consumer protection guidelines that all institutions that are running mobile apps should declare them. Declare them. Because as far as the renewal come next year, the renewal of licenses, as long as you are operating a mobile app, please, you have to bring it to attention of the what? Of the regulator.
The regulator,
now,
yes.
It's from that basis that, okay, now these apps are known. Because at the end of the day, each and every app that is out there, it has a parent or mother company.
Exactly.
You get the point. So now, from there, from that particular background, then we are saying, okay, how was this transaction entered? Because at the end of the day, you'll be on your phone. The moment you consent, keep on allowing.
Exactly.
So that means the other person, because the other person is going to get information or access on whatever you're going to provide, then it is the responsibility of the institution to go ahead and ensure that this information is not given out as far as the data protection privacy is what is concerned. So with all that accumulated, then also within the same laws, because also your app should be in line with what the regulation states.
Exactly.
In other words, there should be that configuration that I shouldn't be exorbitant, I shouldn't accumulate interest, accruing interest, upon accruing interest, whereby there should be a minimum.
Okay.
Yes, that's at this particular point, this loan should be what? Should be ending or shall be closing it.
And even the percentage that people should pay back in a specific period.
The percentage should be well stated.
Yeah, well
stated. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. And of course, it's exactly 23 minutes past 9. I'm still with Benon Mugambe. He's the compliance officer, Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority. And of course, we are discussing matters to do with client protection. And of course, following NIRA's new law about no more use of national identification cards as collaterals. Of course, we've seen issues where they have been confiscated. So client protection quite very key when it comes to money.
Yep.
Now, still as we head into the break, I would love to remind you that the markets on the Zebra platform are actually on. You can kindly participate by dialing *292#, which is the USSD code that will avail you with options where you'll be in position to actually buy government bonds and securities for a fee of 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now the markets open at exactly 8:15 a.m. and run all the way to 3:15 p.m. That is East African time, and this is effective Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends and the public holidays when this market's going to be accessed. But that's not the big deal here. You have the rest of the days at least to make money, Monday to Friday. The money's working for you. You don't work for money, and that's why Zabo confidently and boldly says, my money, my future. And also East Africa tells you, well, you got to do something new for yourself. it is 2023. Well, now we take a short break, and of course, I'm still returning back with Benon Mugambe to break down these matters further. Stick around.